Two men up with a plan to abduct someone. Everything about this mission seems perfect. They know exactly how they're going to execute this master plan. But while this duo looks like the perfect team, one of them has no idea that he's just a pawn in a much bigger scheme. Because, as it turns out, their target isn't just some random person because her true identity is something that threatens their entire operation. It all starts like a normal story with two guys, Vic and Danny, shopping at a hardware store, loading a trolley with supplies, bolts, tools, timber, soundproofing foam, and other materials. They pay and leave when they're done and drive to an apartment building where they take everything inside. And then they get to work immediately. They cover up every window in one of the rooms, nailing timber over each frame so no light gets in and no sound gets out. They cover the walls with thick soundproofing foam and seal the gaps. They bolt a heavy metal bed frame to the floor and attach steel restraints to each corner post. They test the restraints, check the bolts, and make sure nothing can be moved or pulled loose. They drive to a van, change out of their clothes, and put everything they were wearing into a bag. They dispose of the bags, then they go out and find their target. It's a young woman walking alone. They pull up beside her, grab her, bundle her into the back of the van, they secure her with handcuffs at the back of the van and drive off. She struggles and screams but cannot get free. They drive to the apartment and carry her inside. In the prepared room, they work quickly. They cut off all her clothes, leaving her with nothing. They dress her in a plain gray tracksuit. They handcuff both her wrists and both her ankles to the restraints on the bed frame, spreading her out so she cannot move. They put a ball gag in her mouth. They take out a camera and photograph her, gagged, restrained, lying on the bed, and photograph her face clearly. Throughout all of this, both men are wearing full-body jumpsuits and ski masks. When they are done, they pull a hood over her head and leave the room. The woman is Alice Creed, the only daughter of a very wealthy man. Vic and Danny both served time in prison and met each other inside. After their release, they planned this kidnapping together. The photographs they took of Alice are sent to her father along with a ransom demand for £2 million. Vic notices that Danny is behaving unlike himself. They are eating, and Danny refuses to eat. He forces Danny to eat and then tells him to stop behaving like he is scared. Vic goes out. Later on, Vic comes back and says that the father is not scared enough. He says that they need to make a video of her asking her father to send the money so they don't kill her. They are not rough with her beyond what is necessary to keep her restrained, but they give her no comfort and no information. It is obvious that Vic is the one in control. At one point, Alice needs to use the toilet. She uses a sign that they showed her to inform them. Rather than uncuffing her and giving her any privacy, Vic handles the situation by getting Danny to place a plastic jar in her private area for her to ease herself. At some point, Vic leaves to handle the ransom logistics, making contact with Alice's father, arranging the drop-off, going over the plan. Danny stays behind to watch Alice. Alone with Danny, Alice starts talking to him. She is calm and focused. She works on him slowly, appealing to whatever she can read in him. She tells him she needs to use the bathroom and asks him to at least give her that much dignity. Danny hesitates, then uncuffs one of her hands and lets her go. He turns his back to give her a moment. Alice grabs his gun from his hand where he is distracted. She points the gun at him and sporadically asks him to let her go. She waves the gun around and fires a careless shot. Danny, out of fear, stops her and takes off his mask. Alice knows his face. Danny is her ex-boyfriend. They were in a relationship before he went to prison. He tells her that he met Vic while he was inside, and that when Vic came to him with the kidnapping plan, Danny was the one who suggested Alice as the target. He tells her it was deliberate. He knew Alice's father had cut her out of his will, and that she had no love for the man. Danny tells her his real plan was never to hand her back to her father. He planned to double-cross Vic, keep the full ransom, and disappear with Alice. The two of them would take the money and start over somewhere new. He tells her she had to be genuinely frightened during the kidnapping, because if she had seemed too calm, Vic would have become suspicious. Alice listens to all of it. The door to the room is bolted from the outside, and she has no way out. She agrees to go along with Danny's plan. She gives him back the gun and lies back down on the bed. Danny cuffs her again and replaces the gag. Vic is already banging on the main door, so Danny arranges everything before opening the door. He asks Danny why he took so long. Vic goes into the room and finds Alice secured on the bed and notices nothing out of place. Later on, they go to feed Alice, and as Vic is feeding Alice, She signals him to the shell of the fired bullet on the floor. Danny sneakily picks it up. He tries to flush it when they are done, but it doesn't work, so he swallows it. Vic goes over the plan with Danny. He has spoken to Alice's father and the ransom exchange is being arranged. The two men go through the details of the drop-off location and timing. They kiss passionately and profess their love for each other. At some point when Vic steps out again, Danny goes to Alice. He uncuffs her, and the two of them are together briefly. They kiss. As they kiss, Alice takes off Danny's clothes and sneakily cuffs him to the bed. She goes to the sitting room with his gun. Alice finds a mobile phone on the bed. She dials 999. The emergency operator answers, but Alice cannot give them an address. She doesn't know where she is. She tries to describe what she can see outside. The call ends without her getting any help. She hides the phone on her. She tries the door. It is bolted shut from the outside and she cannot get through. She goes into the room and points the gun at Danny and demands the keys to the front door. Danny tells her the keys are in his jacket pocket. She reaches across him to get them, and he hits her and gets the gun out of her grip, and then uses his foot to restrict her airflow and demands the key. She gives it to him, but he keeps his foot there till she goes unconscious. When Vic comes back, he tells Danny that the plan is in motion and that they need to bundle Alice up to carry to the warehouse. They go to the room and finds Alice unconscious. Vic rushes and gets a smelling salt to her nose, which wakes her up. Vic leaves the room and panics. Danny calms him down, and then Vic tells him to go prepare the van downstairs. Vic goes into the room to prepare Alice. She lets Danny's name slip, and Vic finds out that something is wrong. He has also found the bullet hole in the wall from the warning shot. He removes Alice's gag and demands to know what happened. Alice tells him everything, that Danny is her ex-boyfriend, that Danny chose her as the target specifically, and that Danny's plan the whole time has been to take the ransom money and run with her, cutting Vic out completely. Vic says nothing and replaces her gag. When Danny returns, Vic tells him quietly that something doesn't feel right. Danny denies that anything is wrong. Vic doesn't push it further, but his manner has changed. The two men prepare to move Alice. They inject Alice with a sedative, and she goes under. When she wakes up, she is in a different place entirely, a cold, abandoned warehouse somewhere in the countryside, far from the apartment. She is chained to a metal railing in a back room with no windows. The ransom exchange is happening soon. Vic tells Danny he needs him to come out to the woods to help collect the ransom from the drop point. The two men leave Alice in the warehouse and drive out together. When they reach the spot in the woods, Danny sees the hole already dug in the ground. It is large enough for a person. Vic tells Danny he knows everything. He tells Danny the hole was not dug for the money. He pulls out his gun and tells Danny that both he and Alice are going to die. Danny turns and runs into the trees. Vic shoots him. Danny goes down somewhere in the undergrowth. Vic waits, then searches for a while, and eventually leaves, not finding a body. Vic goes and collects the ransom money from the actual drop-off point. He returns to the warehouse alone and walks back to the room where Alice is chained. He prepares a syringe. Alice sees what he is doing and understands what is happening. She struggles against the chains. Vic gets close to her with the needle. Danny appears in the doorway. He was shot in the woods but is still on his feet. He is holding a gun and points it at Vic. The three of them are still. During the standoff, the truth about Vic and Danny's relationship comes out. The two of them were not simply prison acquaintances. They had been in a romantic relationship, which is why Vic's anger at Danny's betrayal goes far beyond just the money. Danny shoots Vic at close range. Vic falls. Danny looks at Alice, walks out of the warehouse, and leaves her there, still chained to the railing in the dark, next to Vic, who is bleeding on the floor. Time passes. Vic is barely alive but still conscious. He looks across the floor, finds the keys to Alice's chains, and throws them to her. She catches them, unlocks the restraints, and gets herself free. She walks out of the warehouse. Outside on the road, not far from the entrance, there is a car. The ransom bags are sitting on the passenger seat. Danny is in the driver's seat. He is dead. He made it to the car, but no further. Alice opens the driver's side door and pulls Danny's body out onto the road. She gets in, starts the car, and drives away with the money. In the end, every hidden truth comes to light. Danny is revealed to be Alice's ex-boyfriend, his plan to betray Vic is exposed, and the shocking revelation that Vic and Danny were lovers adds a deeper layer to their conflict. As trust collapses and loyalties crumble, the kidnappers ultimately destroy each other. The biggest surprise, however, is Alice. After spending the entire story trapped, frightened, and at the mercy of others, she is the only one left standing. While the men lose everything chasing the ransom, Alice drives away with both her freedom and the money. That's it for today's story. But before you go, I gotta ask. If you were in Alice's shoes when she succeeded in cuffing Danny to the bed, what'd have been your next move? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more twisted stories like this.